Hey guys, welcome back. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And now we're living in a post-Carol era of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm just glad it's finally out so we can wrap this up soon.
We finally stopped. So yeah, believe it or not, we're actually going to talk more about Captain Marvel. We did see it yesterday. We did give an honest review of it, and we both decided it was okay. It was middling. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. I thought it was serviceable. I would have chosen a different actress.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
You know, but beyond that, what this film, since it is a pretty unremarkable movie in and of itself, what this film is going to be remembered for is all the controversy surrounding it. So the movie itself is not even the issue. It's all the controversy surrounding the issue, and mainstream media outlets and blogs losing their freaking minds over it. Rotten Tomatoes changing its whole system to accommodate it. Now they're being accused of deleting a bunch of reviews, all for one fucking mediocre movie.
Yeah, and the thing is,
I mean, come on.
It makes me mad though, because it goes back to what we've been saying, is they could have avoided a lot of this backlash had these blogs like this one we have put up here not kept the fight going and not incited it. You know what I mean? They kind of just, they started it for the most part, and then, you know, they kept it going, and then that did more damage to it than anything.
Yeah, if they had just dropped the movie as it was and not played up the man bashing angle of it, I don't think anybody would have even flinched. I think they would have been like, okay, it was okay.
Yeah,
next.
It was okay. It was just, you know, it wasn't like the best one. It wasn't the worst one, but it was, I mean, it would be in the bottom 3/4. I mean, I'd say probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, there have certainly been worse movies in the Marvel Universe. It wasn't as, I was expecting a full-on cringe fest. I was expecting it to be like the comics, and it wasn't. It was.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. And you're like, well, you said it, but it doesn't have the activism in it, but it does. I'm like, no. What I said was, yeah, this wasn't the activist because I was expecting it to be the comics. I was expecting it by the way she was talking to be like so ridiculously at the top,
right?
That it was going to be like in your face, and it wasn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they still have to make a movie to appeal to general audiences, but what the issue really is the marketing machine behind this movie.
Yeah,
has just gone to totally insane levels to make sure that Carol doesn't fail. Now, this is coming from AV Club, which is part of Gizmodo, which is failing miserably.
Yeah, so it's up for sale. So.
Yeah, it's up for sale. If you got a couple $1 million laying around and you want to buy yourself a used website network whose best days are behind them, Gizmodo's for sale.
Sorry, that's funny.
Gizmodo for sale or rent. Anyway, so this is completely smarmy. We have a lot to cover in this video, but this is sort of the I guess fallout phase 1 of the Captain Marvel debacle. The fight against trolls goes beyond Captain Marvel, YouTube, and Rotten Tomatoes.
They're dragging YouTube into it now. This is very interesting, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, here comes the bias. Here comes the bias.
Here you go.
It was as predictable as the lie from Loki. Before Captain Marvel even opened, Rotten Tomatoes was getting bombarded with negative reviews from sexist dipshits. He actually says...
in a journalistic piece, sexist dipshits.
Sexist dipshits on Gizmodo.
Yes, but it wasn't being bombarded with negative reviews. It was want-to-see scores.
Yeah, I know, right? Trying to tank the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because the movie had the temerity to explicitly be a woman's narrative.
But it wasn't explicitly a woman's narrative.
It was an ensemble cast, and honestly, even our son pointed out, Carol had the fewest lines.
Yeah, she didn't say much.
Nick Fury talked more than Carol. Jude Law talked more than Carol. She actually was the B-list character in her own damn movie.
It's actually pretty true. But
it is. And, you know, and Brie Larson had the audacity to suggest that it might be cool to have a slightly more diverse group of journalists covering the film before you could say, what a blatant bad faith twisting of her words and actions into some weirdo claim of anti-white guy bias.
She actually said, I don't need some 40-year-old white dude telling me what they didn't like about A Wrinkle in Time, which was related to something else that happened before this. But that just clearly shows the anti-white guy bias that she herself seems to have.
Yeah, and she's rolling her eyes when she said it.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm sorry. This aside, don't even put her in this movie. If you had seen that before this, you would have realized, and this is at like pro-woman in film event, there's a clear bias, people. But anyway, go ahead.
I have to read this whole sentence. Before you could say what a blatant bad faith twisting of her words and actions into some weirdo claim of anti-white guy bias, the hordes of online chuds sprang into action.
Journalistic integrity right here, guys.
What the fuck is an online chud?
I don't. What the what the fuck is this guy? I mean, he's clearly not a journalist. He's one of those journalists in quotes.
He's a journalist in quotes. He's going to be out of a job soon. Gizmodo is failing miserably, probably because of articles like this. Thankfully, this time Rotten Tomatoes wasn't having any of it. The site changed its policy, purging the advanced reviews.
It wasn't advanced reviews.
They were want-to-sees.
Hey, dummy, when you want to use words like online chuds and sexist dipshits, at least have your facts straight while you're spinning the rest of your story. I mean, you can only get away with that if you have everything else correct, and you don't. But go ahead.
And instituting a new rule preventing such ahead-of-time tactics in the future, which brings us to the obvious outcome today. The first day of Captain Marvel's wide release. A new round of trolls review bombing the film en masse.
Wait a second, 1 second. And there is a bunch of trolls review bombing the film en masse. And I'm not talking about the ones just voting it down. They were online, campaigns, concerted efforts to artificially raise the score as well. And I have said this many times, that is trolling. So again, the person who wrote this article, who I don't really care who your name is, you know what? Get your facts straight, because yes, there was concerted efforts to bring to affect the score, but it's on both sides, and that's both sides are trolling. Yeah. Anyway.
Now here's where it gets concerning. Right? So
this is what we want to talk about.
This is what we really want to talk about. The depths that mainstream media is going to protect Carol. But again, Rotten Tomatoes is responding, and it's not the only one. YouTube has also begun taking action against some of the more noxious corners of its expansive universe of videos, also to combat the creepy and politically repellent campaigns against Brie Larson, the film, and more. Unfortunately, this problem is bigger than Captain Marvel, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Wait, YouTube is taking action to make sure people can't have their opinions on Captain Marvel, is what they're saying. Now, again, to be fair, he has other facts completely wrong too. So
no, this sounds okay. This is part of a bigger issue.
I'm sure it's right. I'm just saying.
Well, this is part of a bigger issue, and this is what a lot of independent reporters and kind of watchdog people on YouTube have been concerned about, is that mainstream media is trying to get its meat hooks into YouTube because they're losing. They're losing
news networks
eyeballs.
Especially are mad because no one's getting their news from them, because it's all, let's be honest here, they have to have charts about where they fall and about how reliable they are. So people are going to places like YouTube to find the news and find out what's going on. So it's affecting places like ABC, who happens to also Marvel, CBS, CNN, etc. Entertainment Tonight. It affects those.
So here, get this shit. This freaks me out a little bit. YouTube
doesn't freak me out, it pisses me off.
YouTube, meanwhile, has begun quietly fighting the trolls in its own way. The Verge reports the video sharing service cleverly repurposed the search term Brie Larson as a newsworthy search item, meaning if you went looking for videos about the actor, the YouTube algorithm prioritized authoritative and reputable sources.
Who decides what's authoritative and reputable?
YouTube. Entertainment Tonight, ABC, CBS, CNN, and the like. This had the immediate and salutary effect of bumping noxious and misogynistic videos from individuals creators.
A woman, dumbass.
From individuals creators out of the top results, meaning it became much more difficult to sniff out those openly offensive rants about Larson's presence in the MCU. Dim-witted MRA types. That would be men's rights activists.
Yeah, but dim-witted says the person who uses terms like, I don't even know what that one was.
Demanding boycotts of Captain Marvel. Okay, so this is a huge problem for YouTubers in general. This is an extension of what the platform began doing with its algorithm in the fall of 2017 when people noticed conspiracy videos were being favored over actual news reporting. Yes and no. I think to some degree, yes, because you go into the whole Alex Jones situation, that there were some like conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy videos that were being favored. But also, these media outlets are pissed off because people are going to YouTube for news.
Probably. Most likely. I'm sure they are. I know it's been a problem, and now they're trying to take down anybody who doesn't fall in their networks. But it's talking about this, about the YouTube and stuff, and they said, but the retagging of hot button names and topics in the short term does seem to help when it comes to preventing morons turn the basic humanity and kindness of calls for diversity into faux outrage clickbait. Says the person who does this article with faux outrage clickbait, which it too easily turns into other people's genuine outrage thanks to misinformation, which is perpetuated by places like AV Club. And aggrieved reactionary politics or outright racism, sexism, the Venn diagram of those three overlapping pretty well to begin with. So basically this person who has a clickbaity title, who's been perpetuating this whole, calling people names and causing this whole fiasco, is going to make comments by people on YouTube being clickbaiting and causing, and you know, and then making these comments to cause all this outrage when they're the ones who've been causing the outrage to begin with. Nice deflection, dumbass.
Somebody's pissed that they're not getting more clicks. All of your eyeballs are going to YouTube and not to Gizmodo, which is why you're for sale and failing miserably. Okay, so what else could we talk about here? We could talk about how it is doing very well financially.
Yeah, we kind of figured it would, because the majority of people are general audiences, and they are not involved in this absolute dumpster fire that's on social media and these pop culture blogs.
Right, and everybody was like, oh, it's going to bomb, it's going to bomb. No, I think what's probably going to happen is, people are going to go see it, they're excited about Endgame.
Right.
But I think if people aren't in love with the movie, they're not going to go see it again. They're not going to recommend it to friends and family. And it might possibly, maybe, have a second week drop off. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, but then here's some other things that are a little bit interesting to this too. We have theaters giving out free tickets with all kinds of free snacks, and they're counting those as ticket sales. We have one person said to me on Twitter in the comments or something, I'm sorry, I can't remember who you were. I think it was in the comments on our one video, about how the theater chain by them was giving 30% off only on Captain Marvel tickets. I've never seen them do that before, because then people were buying Captain Marvel tickets. We have GoFundMe's trying to get a bunch of money to go buy opening weekend tickets.
Yeah.
So you have all of these other campaigns going on in the background. So of course it's going to show that you have more ticket sales. Our theater, there was literally 11 people there. Now, granted, it was in the afternoon.
Yeah, but so college town.
It wasn't 11 people there. I'm sorry, I can't imagine. It was 7 people.
Seven
people. There were 7 people in there, and of them, only 2 were women. Me and my daughter were the only 2 that were women. So there's definitely something fishy going on with this, but I do think it's going to do well because the general audiences are trained to go to Marvel movies. They're happy, they're excited, they want to see, they think it somehow plays into Endgame, and they all want Endgame.
Yeah.
And they're afraid they're going to miss something, and that's going to get people there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no way this movie was going to bomb. There's just no way.
Terrible. It's just
It's and I don't think it's going to be a classic, a highly regarded classic. I think it's a snack before Endgame. I think people are just like, they want Endgame now, so they'll go see anything with Marvel.
I have to see this because I don't want to miss anything that might come into play for Endgame,
Right. So we can talk here a little bit about Rotten Tomatoes, where Captain Marvel is right now. So obviously people are fighting bitterly over the audience score. Mm-hmm. We're at 53%. Some of that would be the 5 stars. Fighting with 1 star.
They are. If you click on it, you can see it. And here's the thing. Like I said again, for all their, people are voting it down. Apparently, they went in and used some kind of software to take a bunch of what they call bots reviews, like BOT reviews, because they said that there was things about them or text. And I saw them. They were clearly bots, and they took those out because they were voting it down. But there are also ones that kind of read as bots that are voting it up, and those ones are left there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's what I'm hearing. But you can see, it's like, and what's going to happen is these people that are campaigning to vote it up and campaigning to vote it down are just going to cancel each other out. And what you're going to be left with are people, the majority of the audiences are just going to be in the middle.
Yeah, it is. And we didn't bring that up in our review. A lot of people, the problem they have with it is that they did apparently mess with some of the timeline and the MCU. They deleted my 2-star review. Wonder if they keep the fake 5-star review. The movie was boring.
Well, it's funny because they do, and we've pointed out before, you have to have 2 stars or above for it to count. Even if people doing 1 stars, guys, it's not even going to count your stars.
So this is the big controversy. Speaking of the Carol controversy here, Rotten Tomatoes is deleting Captain Marvel user reviews,
but only of certain type.
Only of certain type. So the controversy surrounding Captain Marvel Rotten Tomatoes continued, as apparently the review aggregate site run by a former Disney employee, which is true, he was an executive VP at Disney, has deleted upwards of 54,000 user reviews, which affects the audience score. Users on social media have pointed out earlier that Captain Marvel Rotten Tomatoes audience score had 58,000 votes, but now a majority of those votes and reviews have been deleted by Rotten Tomatoes. A recent check on the site reveals they're now around 12,000.
Well, it's a lot more than that now. It's 30-some thousand.
So Rotten Tomatoes claims there's just a bug in user ratings for pre-release were factored in the post-release audience score for Captain Marvel. Clearly there's a lot of shenanigans going on, on many levels to over one movie. But right. I think they're using this movie to set a precedent from now on that, it seems to me like more mainstream media outlets and more movie studios are going to have more control over
But they kind of do, because I think what's going to happen is they're going to take the audience, they're going to cite this as a way to take the audience score away. Now, because there are people writing it down, but they're neglecting to mention people are voting it up as well. So they're going to take the audience score away, and then you're only going to be left with the critical score. But the critics by themselves admit they don't actually grade them fairly because they're afraid they'll lose access.
Yeah, and then so YouTubers, give fair reviews, and they're being delisted in favor of ABC, which is owned by Disney.
Yeah,
look at this.
That's what I'm saying.
This is nuts. I mean, just
to promote one film, which honestly, shouldn't really matter that much in the scheme of things.
I don't think it's about one film.
I don't think it is either, which is what I'm worried about.
This one was going to be a firebrand, so I think they learned from Ghostbusters 2016, but they didn't. They learned from Ghostbusters 2016 and the fact that they're going to make sure they're in charge. They control the narrative.
Well, I guess supposedly too going forward, they're not announcing anything yet, but Feige said that they're going to do more diversity in films and more female directors going forward. I sent that to you earlier. Going forward, which I don't have a problem with that, as long as your directors like Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins is really good.
There was a movie. Here's the thing: if it's a movie first and story first and superhero first, I'm all for it. What I'm worried about is you keep doing these things where you bring these people in, and then it becomes the story is about why they're better than you, what they're minority, not about a good character. Not that there can't be good characters. You know what I'm saying? They're focusing on the wrong thing. Instead of being like, here's a character that kicks all kinds of ass. They kick all kinds of ass, but it's not as important as who they are.
Yeah,
they're this minority or that minority.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even though Captain Marvel, the film itself was pretty middle of the road, it does open up Pandora's box in the statements that are made. Like, what comes after Captain Marvel? Because we've already seen that Captain Marvel, has essentially retconned some of the MCU. Even in the naming of the Avengers came from Carol Danvers.
Oh,
now,
maybe they do something like that.
So. What's going to come next. So I think that there's going to be, this one they might have sort of, I guess, snuck the pill in the ice cream and made a very middle-of-the-road movie. Yeah. But I think going forward, they might push the agendas
more. They flat out said they're going to. And I don't have a problem with that. I have no problem with people, like different kinds of people in movies. What I have a problem with is the movie going to be about this character and about what a good character they are? Or is it going to be about whatever makes them a minority? Because it seems like that's what they keep focusing on. Instead of doing it organically. Like I said, Dragon Prince does it really well. Where they get it in there and it's organic and I know people like that. And it's not like you're being forced, just so you know, they're better than you. They're better than you. They're the best because, do we mention they're a minority? Do we mention they're a minority? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and even in the comics now, they're retconning out some of the history. Now, Captain Marvel, I had to look into this because I actually haven't read much of the new Captain Marvel series, but the latest incarnation, I think, of Captain Marvel has been canceled 7 times. Because we were talking about the fact that, spoiler, if you haven't seen the Captain Marvel movie, Marvel is a woman. Annette Bening is Captain Marvel, who was a man who had a huge history in the Marvel Universe. She's in it for like 5 minutes, and it's.
And like I said, most general audiences aren't going to care about that.
Most general audiences,
it's important because they're just changing things right willy nilly. Go ahead.
And I joked with Geeky. I said the reason they probably made Marvel a woman is because they can't have Carol get her powers from a man or have a man teach her. He did kind of did teach her. Mansplain. Yeah, but he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he was overbearing, right? Jude Law's character. So the latest incarnation of the comic, and this is from a couple months ago, and I clearly haven't read it, is that the new origin story, they retcon Carol, the new origin story is an exciting plot development as it makes Carol's powers innate to her and her mother. She's a half Cree in the new version, instead of the result of her relationship with a man.
Okay, I gotta say something here, and this is what this pisses me off, and this goes back to these writers. They have to think about these women writers and how they're going to use this for papers and theses and stuff like that. Listen, here's the thing, just basic science. You come from a man and a woman. So half your DNA comes from a guy and half your DNA approximately, comes from a woman. So, this whole thing, but we can't get anything from a man. Yeah, I got half your DNA from a man. I'm sorry, I'm so sick of this. Like we can't even get anything from a woman or from a man. But you have to, you already do. You look in a mirror, you already did. I mean, why is it, what's wrong with it? Same with men who hate women. Guess what? Half your DNA comes from a woman.
I'm just saying. One chromosomal switch away from being the other gender.
I know. I'm just like, why do we can't have them get anything from a man? And it's like, of course, the mother has to be the, the Cree, because we can't remember. But the thing is, and all of you writers doing this, all you women who are out there like, men suck, I have to, men, blah, ew. You're half man. Pretty much. You're half man. Embrace it. Same with the men who hate women. You're half woman.
There you go. But no, this is really interesting to see how they are retconning even the comics now to change the story, because we can't have a man mansplaining.
Stupid. I can't even. My head hurts.
Mansplaining the Carol, so we change it into basically Superman. You are Kal-El, daughter of Mariel, captain of the Supreme Protect, blah blah blah. Very Superman, very very Superman. Instead of Jor-El and Kal-El, we've got Kal-El. I mean, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, oh come on. So her mom is a Kree space nun now. She does not get her powers from Captain Marvel. So they've completely retconned Captain Marvel, the male Captain Marvel, out of the comics.
The new woman-driven origin story centers on a feminism and female power. Oh, no shit. And which is what we want to see in a character like Captain Marvel. No, it's not what everyone wants to see in a character like Captain Marvel. Stop with your extremist views. It would be the same if it was just like a male superhero who was anti-women and had some, total chauvinistic agenda. No one wants to see that. Just like they don't want to see this. And I'm a woman telling you, no one wants to see this shit. Just saying.
Yeah, so...
No, most normal people don't.
Most normal people. So yeah, just the weirdness surrounding... Again, we gave the movie a pass. It was, it was okay. It was
an okay movie. They toned it down way more than I thought it would be.
But there are some really strange stuff surrounding the movie. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on the box office. Personally, I'm tired of talking about it.
If you can find our video, because apparently YouTube's going to bury it.
Apparently YouTube is going to bury it.
For me being a misogynist.
They're going to bury it just like they buried Marvel in his penis.
That's right.
He's gone forever.
I'm sure it's a joke when you mention burying penises, but we're not going to
Oh, God. No, we can't have that. We can't have that in a comic. Can't have that in a Marvel comic. So we'll keep an eye on this. Are we done with this one?
Yeah, because I'm so sick of talking about it.
I'm sick of Captain Marvel, too. All right. So we're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, rants, gaming videos, art videos, and more. This has been Neon and Geeky.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.